If you have come across this beautiful design and you have been wondering how it is made, don't worry, in this tutorial you're going to learn how this is cut and sewed from start to finish. So if this is what you're interested in learning, sit back, relax, and let's get started. For this tutorial, I'm going to be making use of 1 yard of sequin velvet material, and then I'm going to be making use of these 4 yards of cord lace. So guys, first of all, we are going to be cutting the front parts, okay? So be rest assured that this comes with a zipper at the back. So for now, we are going to be folding our fabric into 2, and to fold, you're going to fold with the biggest part of your body measurement, which is the hip measurement, and then you're going to be adding your ease and sewing allowance to that. Okay, so I folded my fabric into 2, and I'm trying to cut out the lace trimming, or the edge of the lace, because I'm going to use it to hem the down parts. So I've cut that out, and the first thing I'm going to do is to mark out my baseline. So from the top of your fabric, go ahead and come down by about 1 inch. And after that, place your tape on that mark, and then you're going to have to mark out the bust point. So this is what you can see me trying to do right here. Now my bust point is 11 inches. I went ahead to mark that, and then still leaving my tape on that same baseline or the top line, mark out your waist point. So my waist point here is 17 inches. I went ahead to mark, and then after that, the next step I'm going to take is mark out my hip point, okay, 25 inches. Place your tape right at the top and mark out your hip point. So I have it already, and I'm going to use the length of this lace as the length of my gown, okay? After that, place your tape right at the center fold and then mark the shoulder line. So my shoulder is 15 inches plus half an inch. Now I slant it by 1 inch, which is for the shoulder slope, and then for my neck width of the front, I came in by 3.5 inches. And then for the depth, I'm going to be making use of 7 inches. So I marked this all out and I'm connecting it. You can see I have like a V neckline right there. Now after this, from the bust point, I'm going to come up by 2 inches, and that is for my chest line, okay? And on this same chest line, I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2 and then connect it to my shoulder slope. Now after that, I'm going to divide my shoulder slope into 2. Whatever it is that I have, I went ahead to mark it out and then went in by half an inch. Now after that, on the bust point, I'm going to divide my bust circumference by 4, mark it out. I'll be adding ease allowance of 0.75 inches and then my seam allowance of 1.5 inches. Now after that, I went ahead to connect my armhole curve, as you can see me doing like this. Now once I'm done with this, I will go down to the waist point and I'll be dividing my waist circumference by 4. So whatever it is I have, I'm going to add ease allowance of 0.75 and then my sewing allowance of 1.5 inches. I'll connect it to the bust and then I'll move over to the hip. Now on this hip, I'll divide my hip circumference by 4, mark it down. So the hip circumference right here is 45 inches divided by 4, mark it down, add ease allowance and then sewing allowance, okay? Still the same thing that I added on the rest, okay? Now I connected all those points together, and then I'm going to take it down to the hemline. So whatever it is I have on the hip, I took it down to the hemline, as you can see me doing like this. Now I'm going to connect it from this hemline to the hip, okay? Now guys, after this, I'm going to have to add like 1 inch on this hemline, okay? Because I want it a little bit freer. Like I want my client to be able to work with this perfectly, okay? So that it will not be too tight on the hemline. So I added 1 inch and then connected it to the hip. Now you can see that this is perfect, okay? We are done with this, so we are going to go ahead and cut it out. As you're cutting, please ensure that you add your shoulder sewing allowance of half an inch, and then after that, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the remaining parts, as you can see me doing like this, okay? So guys, this is so simple. Now once we are done cutting this out, I'm going to move over to the back. Now for the back, I'm going to go ahead and place in another fabric for this back. Okay, so go ahead and fold your material into two again, and then you're going to have to place the front part. Okay, now if you want to place it, ensure that you are leaving at least 1.5 inches or 1 inch for your zipper allowance, because this came with a zipper allowance. You know that this boo is a little bit tight. I'm going to be showing you the back so that you understand what I mean. Okay, so for me, I added 1.5 inches for the zipper allowance. Okay, now after this, I will go ahead and mark out my neck width and the depth of my back. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to mark out the shoulder line, and from this shoulder line go down by 1 or 1.5 inches. I'm using 1.5 inches, and then connected it to the neck width. The neck width of the back and the front still remain the same. Now I've connected it and I'm going to cut it out. Now after that, I'm going to cut out the remaining parts. Okay, so you guys know that I haven't cut out my armhole for the front. Okay, so I use that front to cut out my armhole for the back. Now I'm trimming off my armhole for the front. So now after this, I went ahead to cut out the remaining parts. Please pardon me, because this is black fabric, you might not be able to see my zipper allowance. Okay, but I'm still going to show you, all right, properly. So now that I'm done cutting out the sides, I'm going to make sure that the hemline of both the back and the front are equal. So I trimmed it properly, and then after that, I'm going to go ahead and slash my zipper allowance because I want it to be 2 pieces. Of course, you guys already know how to do that for the back. Okay, so I slashed it open, and next go ahead and make sure that you mark out your zipper allowance. You can see what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to use my chalk to indicate the zipper allowance. Okay, you know that this doesn't have a lining, it's going to have an inner, which I'm going to sew later. Now on the waistline, for us to avoid any form of zip bulge, I'm going to come in from the zipper allowance line by 1/2 inch. Okay, and then I'm going to go out again by 1.5 inches. After you come in by 1/2 inch, now from that 1/2 inch line, go out by 1.5 inches and connect it to the neckline and then down to the hip point. Okay, so that part of the back will be a little bit inwards. That will help avoid any form of zip bulge. I hope you guys understand. So that is what I'm trying to show you right here. Okay, you can see what I just did. So that particular line is where I'm going to follow to sew in my zipper allowance. Okay, so I hope with all my explanation you were able to understand everything. Now you guys, I've gone ahead to sew my zipper allowance down to the hemline, but you can see that I left a little bit of some inches which I didn't sew on the hemline. This is because I'm still going to sew in this lace trimming right at the down part. You can see I'm trying to show you that of the front. After that, I'll repeat the same thing for the back. So guys, I am done stitching in the lace trimming. Okay, and this is for the fronts. I've equally done the same thing for the back. So here is for the back, and after stitching that of the back, I now went ahead to close up the remaining down parts. Okay, so now we are going to add up our patches right at the front, and I'm going to do that with my velvet. Okay, so this sequin velvet material is so nice. I am making use of this royal blue color. You can make use of any color of your choice. You can see that the one we are looking at to make that, they used a golden color. Okay, so first of all, for the neckline, I'm going to bring in my fronts, and then I'm going to cut out like a facing right there. You can see what I am doing. First of all, cut out the V neck shape, and then after that, you're going to go ahead and measure how wide you want this part of the neckline to look. Okay, so for me, I'm making use of 3.5 inches. And then for the depth, I also made use of 3.5 inches. So I'm trying to trace it out right now. So what I'm doing is to mark out 3.5 inches all around and then cut it out. All right, now guys, after this I'm going to cut out another one which I'm going to use to turn this. But if you don't have enough fabric, you can go ahead and fold in the edges, okay, and just top stitch it. I'm going to show you what I mean right there. Okay, so what you're going to do is place it on the neckline, and then you go ahead and fold in 1/2 inch right at the edges. That is if you don't want to turn it with another fabric. Okay, so now again I'm going to cut out my squared fabric for the patch right at the front. So I'm using 9 inches all around. Okay, so 9 inches horizontally and then 9 inches vertically. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to cut out right here. Now I'm trying to mark out the horizontal part of this 9 inches, so you can see what I am doing. And then now I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So I have 2 pieces right here, you can see. So I have 2 pieces. Now I'm going to use this to cut out the remaining parts. So I will have 9 pieces. Sorry, I will have, yes, 9 pieces, because like I want to turn it with each of these. Okay, I am not going to fold in the edges. You can see what I am doing. So one is going to serve as the actual one, and one is going to serve as the lining. Now if I want to stitch, I'm going to stitch using 1/2 inch all around, and I'll be leaving some places where I'll be turning it out from. Okay, but for the neckline I'm going to turn it out from the neck. Okay, I don't know if you understand me. For the neckline, I'm going to sew all around the edges and then leave the part which is going to be placed on the neckline open, and that part which is going to be on the shoulder, they're going to be open. That is where I turned that of the V neckline out. But for the squared part, I left a little bit of allowance where I turned it out from. You guys can see where I'm trying to use to bring all this out. Okay, and after turning this out, make sure that you use like a pointy object to bring out the materials that might be left inside. Okay, so guys, I am done with this. I'm going to give it a good press, and then after that I'll go ahead and place it right in front of my lace. Can you see? So what I'm going to do is bring in the front part of this my gown, and then I'm going to locate the middle, as you can see me do. So what I did was to fold this part into 2 and then iron it so that the lines will show, and then I marked it out with my chalk. All right, now this is the facing for my neckline. I'm going to place it on the front part of my neckline, and then I'm going to arrange it in place, hold it with my pins, and then the next step I'm going to take is go ahead and stitch it all around. Okay, but you guys, I would advise you make use of your hemming gum first of all. Okay, so what you are going to do is to cut your hemming gum into pieces, place it underneath, and then place in this your facing on top of the neckline. Use your steam iron to hold it in place first before you stitch it all around. Now after that, this is for my patches. Okay, now I'm going to fold it just like this, and then I would locate the middle and then place it like this. You can see the way I'm placing it. I am not placing it in the squared shape. I just turned it out to be a little bit stylish, and then I made use of my pins to hold it in place. Okay, now after holding it, I still went back to hold it with my hemming tape, and after that I went ahead to stitch it all around. And you guys, this is what I have. You can see how beautiful this is looking. And now after this, I'm going to bring in the back piece. Okay, now here is my back piece. I'm going to place it right side facing the front parts, and then I'm going to move over to my sewing machine and stitch up the shoulder. Now after stitching up the shoulder, I'm going to stitch the side seam using 1.5 inches seam allowance, and then I'm going to use this bias to turn the neckline, and then after that I'm going to fix in my zipper. Okay, So I'll go do that and come show you guys what this looks like. I am done joining the bias to the neckline and turning the side seam, and this is what we have. Let me flip it over to the back so that you guys can see. Here is our zipper. Let me open it up, and yeah, this is it. You can see how neatly finished this is looking. Here is the hemline. Even though I joined the trimming to the hemline, you will hardly notice it. Okay, so guys, I am going to use this remaining sequin to cut a basic sleeve, which I'm going to be fixing to this, and also cut another sleeve because this comes with two sleeves. Okay, the pencil sleeve and the flared sleeve. Now here is the remaining lace. I joined this lace because I don't have enough fabric. If you want to have like a full flare like the one you can see on that inspiration, you will be needing 5 yards of lace, but my client had just 4 yards of lace, so I joined my pieces together to be able to get this is not even the actual sleeve. Okay, so what I did was to fold into a triangle just like this. Okay, just fold on bias, and then the folded part is going to be the part which is going to be on the underarm, and then the other part is going to be right at the front. Okay, so this part of it which is folded is going to be on the underarm, which is the longest part. That is what you can see me trying to show you right now. Now the open part is going to be the part that has the crease line. Okay, so guys, and that part is going to be at the front. This means that I'm going to be joining the front part, and the underarm is going to be on fold. You know that our normal sleeve, the front part is usually on fold, while the underarm is the parts which are going to join. But this time around, I'm going to be joining right at the front. This is because of the fabric that I have. Okay, the quantity of the fabric that I have, so I chose to style this sleeve like this. So now I've marked out the length of my sleeve, and then I've marked out the part which I feel like is going to give me enough sleeve opening. That is my armhole opening, and then I went ahead to cut it out, as you can see me doing like this. Okay, so now I'm going to determine my cap height, and then from there I'm going to carve out my armhole. Okay, so which I have just done, and I'm going to cut it out. Can you see what I am doing? I don't know the best way to explain this sleeve because I just formed it, to be frank. Okay, to be frank with you, I just formed this sleeve because I was trying to get the particular sleeve that we are using on this, but because of the quantity of the fabric that I have, I just had to manipulate this particular sleeve. Okay, but it still came out very well. It still came out nice, I won't lie. So now I am done with measuring my armhole. I went ahead to make sure that I have my round armhole divided by 2, which is 10.5 inches, and then I marked out a straight line. Okay, so this straight line is where I'm going to be joining it. Now I went ahead to cut out the other sleeve, so now I'm going to stitch up these parts. I have stitched it up, and I have already formed my basic sleeve with the velvet, as you can see. Now I'm going to be fixing this pencil sleeve into this flared sleeve. Okay, I don't even know what to call this sleeve. Is it like a flutter sleeve or what? If you know what I'll be calling this sleeve, please let me know, because I don't even know. I just formed it to look like that of the inspiration. All right, but that of the inspiration is very, very simple. Just fold on bias and make the underarm the longest parts. So guys, I'm going to go stitch this sleeve all around it, and after that, this is what I have. You can see that is still looking like that of the one that we are looking at to make this. You guys, if you find this tutorial helpful, do make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to share so that more people can see it. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.